everybody. Welcome to our CakeFu Masters training. Today we are up and going. It's a nice day for me here in Vegas, nice weather. Hope it's nice for you guys too. My name is Amelia Carbine. I am the host of CakeFu, and today we have a really talented, very artistic guest, and I'm just so excited that she's here. I met Toni in San Diego a few years ago as I was judging the San Diego Cakes for a Cause competition down there, and she entered this cake that was just absolutely spectacular. I thought it was just amazing, and I wanted to know how she did it, and I've learned a little bit since then about how she does what she does. She's actually sat down and taught me a few things, which is it's just really cool, really fun. So today we have Toni Fusco with us, and I'm saying that right? Or am I saying that wrong? Fusco, right?
Fusco.
Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome, Toni. Thanks for coming.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. Well, okay, so we are going to start by talking a little bit about you, Toni, and how you got started into all of this, and then we'll get into the training portion, because there's quite a few pictures to go through and a lot to talk about. So. All right, so Toni, go ahead and let's start with how you got into cake decorating in the first place.
Well, the story I most often tell is that galleries in my area were closing. I've been a fine artist my whole life. I got my first job, I think, in the 7th grade, and I was doing scientific illustrations for graduate students at the local university. So I started really young. I did a lot of different kinds of things, and then the art business started kind of getting slow, so I had an assistant, and I couldn't pay her anymore. And she said, "Look, people are still buying cake. Have you ever seen any of those cake shows?" No. So I went on, and at the time it was the King of Cakes, or Duff Golden was on, and they were making these cakes. And I'm watching them work, and I'm thinking, oh, they're taking forever to make just a window. They could cane that window in a heartbeat. So I thought, well, I'm never going to use it. So I packed up a box and I sent it to Big City Cakes with instructions and the pieces, and I waited and waited. Nothing happened. The box came back unopened. I said, I'll just do it myself.
Aww.
And I joined the San Diego Cake Club, and I put a piece in. I won Best of Show. And I said, okay, so there you go. When you get turned down, just turn it into a win.
Awesome.
And that's how I started. So
oh, that's a great
competing.
Story.
It's my thing. And funny.
Yeah.
Because you think, oh, you're going to get rejected, but so what? To you. Right?
That's right. Well,
then, I put a piece.
Go ahead.
Go on.
Oh, I was just going to say.
I went from there on that big rush. I went straight to Tulsa and tried to put a cake in the wedding cake challenge.
Oh, wow.
Thank you for coming is what I
got. Oh. Did you do caning on that cake?
But it was an amazing piece. If you've ever seen it, it was 2 giant birds on top of a structure that they were actually to scale, but yeah, they were giant.
Oh, that's fun though. Okay, so let's talk about.
So what else would you like to know?
Well, let's talk about caning a little bit. So
There's a delay.
Oh, I'm sorry about the delay. Yeah,
That's
so
okay.
let's talk about canning a little bit. Um, where did you learn to do caning?
Oh, I lived in the mountains for many years by myself up in a little shack we could call it, and I never had TV, telephone, washing machines, things like that for many, many years. And I met Pat, my gentleman friend, now for 13 years. He introduced me to cable TV, and there was a show on there called Carol Duvall, and she had crafters come in from all over and do just like what we're doing. And she had caning artists on there. And I had worked in ceramics and I had done caning. I didn't know what it was at the time, but when I saw it done in polymer clay that you could bake in your oven, I fell in love.
Awesome. That's awesome. Okay, well, let's actually just jump right into the training portion. I'm not sure if
Okay.
everybody knows what caning is. And so I want everybody to be able to see what this is all about. I think that there are always new trends coming out for cake decorating. And I think that this is one that could really, be kind of a big deal. So I wanted to get you on this training to show everybody what caning is all about. For those of you that may not be, on the crafter side of things and see what's out there. Um, I I think that this is really cool. I actually did a cake and used some caning in it. I was in a rush, and so some of my other parts of the cake didn't turn out the way I wanted it, or I would have shared it. But I'm too much of the, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna start and show you guys a little bit about what caning is, and I will put up our screen here, and we will let Toni just walk us through the pictures and how, what the process is of caning and the basics.
Okay, so in picture number one here, you're going to see a no scar cutting board that's used for fabric, for sewing. They use the rotary cutters on this board. It's all mapped out and they cut out patches for quilting. We use the other side. The side that you see, I just wanted you to see it so that you knew what to buy, but it's the back side that we use, and it's going to be usually plain white like this. And this is the clean side. The reason we do that is because the fondant will pick up the print from the other side. We don't. The other thing you
Okay.
see there are
Could you show
colors
that
that are
map one more
mixed.
time?
The colors are mixed. Yes. So here's the front that you'll see when you buy it, and then we are going to use the back side.
Okay. Perfect.
And the beauty of this mat is you can cut on it and it's not going to leave a mark. So that later when you go to roll fondant out on that mat, it's not going to have a bunch of little cuts in it.
Very nice. Okay.
Then the other thing that you see there on the table is the pasta machine. And the pasta machine is used for rolling out flat sheets. However, if you don't have a pasta machine, these work great. And these are just acrylic rolling pins that you can get in the polymer clay department at, say, Michael's or Joann's or one of those big craft stores.
Okay.
The other essential of this process are these 5-inch long razor blades. And I'll usually work with 3 because unlike polymer clay, sugar is sticky and it gets stuck on the blade. So you have to be cleaning your blade often. And for that, I use a little dish with a little bit of water and a scrubby pad that I've cut most of the sponge off of, just enough to hold a tiny bit of water and this little pad. And I'll use that to clean the blades. And then I'll keep a little stack of cut up paper towels in a container next to me for drying off the blade.
Okay.
By the time you're to your third blade, you've got a lot of stuff cut out and you can take a break and clean. Otherwise, you're cleaning while you're doing it and it's time consuming. Everything about caning is, as you learn, a little bit time consuming until you really get into the swing of it, and then you can move quickly. But at first, it's hard, I admit.
Okay. Nice warning.
Well, I tried to warn you of that, and as you saw, if you try to rush it, it doesn't work very well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Okay, so what caning is a technique where you're layering the fondant on top of each other or beside each other, and you're making what's known as a cane. These pictures here are going to show you that. We're going to piece of fondant, we're going to roll it out, we're going to trim it, and then we're going to make a cane out of it. And these next pictures are going to show that process.
Okay. Okay, and then.
And there it is. There it is. Now I've cut in. Okay, and here are a bunch of those little sheets cut up, and I have them wrapped in the grocery bags that you get from the produce department in your store. These ones here. Nothing, even epoxy will not stick to them.
So the produce bag.
Again, I don't leave any of the print on. I'll cut the print out and I'll cut the end off. Yeah, the produce bags. I don't know what they're made out of, but nothing sticks to them. The other thing is when you're working with some colors of fondant, your hands will get colored. That's bad. Like red, for instance, really can mess up things terribly. It'll bleed. And I use the gloves you get at the beauty supply store because nothing sticks to them, even the color.
Very nice. Well, and that makes sense.
So that's just a little hint for when you're working with this. Right.
Okay.
And they come in more sizes, so that's convenient too.
Yes.
Okay, so here we are. We're gonna start stacking. Our next picture should show us starting to put the pieces on top of each other. There we are. Okay, so we've laid them on top of each other, and we're slicing off the end to see what we've got.
So you just have a layer of green, a layer of white, green, white.
Right.
Okay. Awesome.
If you're having problems with the sticking to the sheet below it, you can use a tiny, tiny little bit of water. But whenever I put water onto it, I always go back with a paper towel and blot as much as I can off so you don't have any gooey fondant anywhere. So now we've got the piece stacked, cut, and now we're going to go ahead and cut the parts that we're going to make the cane out of. And this particular cane, it looks like we're going to use 2. So we've cut off 2 pieces. And then our next picture should show us what we're going to do with them.
Okay. And that's you sticking them together?
Yep, that's sticking them together. By this time, fondant's getting a little bit dry, and you'll probably want a little bit of fondant glue or water.
Okay.
But just a touch. Very little as possible. And there they are. Now you're pressing pretty good with your finger. You're pressing those 2 together.
Okay.
And this is a great basis for the leaf, and I think that's what we're going to be making. Yes, so here we have the pieces lying next to each other, and we're going to pinch the 2 far ends together. the far sides together.
Okay. Sorry. Pinching both sides, so it almost makes a round.
Yes, it's gonna like a tent shape, right? And we're gonna pinch the other side together, and now you can sort of see the leaf.
Okay.
Now from here you can stretch that out, and you cut the pieces off. You can start cutting off your little bits of cane. Now you see we wrapped it in a piece of, here we are, we're going to wrap it. And that's to hold it all together. Sometimes it wants to separate when you start messing with it, and having a wrap around it helps.
Okay.
And there you are.
Yeah.
So that's your first slice. And as you start slicing into it, you can get them quite thin as you gain more practice. And those can be the leaves for your flowers and the other parts of your cake that you're making.
That is very cool.
They're very pretty.
They are.
And I think once you start doing them, you'll get addicted, like I did. There's no two can be the same. You start adding, you start taking canes that you have little bits of, you add them to other canes, and now you have something that looks like it's amazing, and all you did was stick pieces that you had laying around together.
Awesome. I love that. Okay, so now we
have 4 pieces.
Okay.
We've cut this so we're using the same sheets for our cane. We're cutting the 4 pieces, and now we're going to stack them differently.
Okay.
So you see we have the lines going in different directions, or the layers going in different directions. And now we're going to do the same thing to this piece. We're going to squeeze it together. We're going to wrap a covering over it, and then we're going to manipulate it into the shape that we want. Here we are pressing it together.
How hard do you press with this?
Well, you can feel when you're pushing it too hard. You don't really want it to change its shape. You really want it to compress. That's the most important thing with caning, is that you don't stretch and pull. You press and squish, because the inside of your cane will start to pull apart. It's not clay, it is marshmallow. And when you pull marshmallow apart, it gets all rocky and comes apart. So with this, you have to keep squashing and squashing, and you'll see it starts to get longer the further you go. And you just want to go for the size and the shape that you want. The nice thing is you could cut a piece off of this right now and then compress it even more. They call it reducing, but you can compress it more and more until you have a tiny little leaf that matches the big leaf.
That's cool.
Is that cool or what?
That is really cool.
Yeah. Little flowers and big flower petals on the same flower. Mm-hmm. Let's say you're working on the shingles of a roof, and you're almost to the end, and one piece just isn't quite long enough. Just squish it a little bit. Now it's big enough.
Awesome.
Or squish it. It's small enough.
It
doesn't mess with the pattern, and it looks good. So I say try it on all kinds of things.
Yeah. All right. So now you're wrapping this one again. Do you wrap everything that you do?
No, but for things that I'm really going to press out, like on this leaf here, I really pressed it out, and I think I made it almost as long as the frog sticker tool or the blade, almost 5 inches long from one piece of cane. So I knew that the ends were really going to spread, and so I did wrap it. Otherwise, where you have the joint, sometimes it'll pull apart.
Okay.
You can always go in and trim if you want. That's, and I do trim, because I believe that when these pieces are being judged, they need to be judged on how clean everything is. And you want frayed edges. You want them clean.
Okay. So if basically if you're going to manipulate it after you cut your slice off, if you're going to be
Yes,
manipulating it, you'll want to wrap it, right?
absolutely. If
Okay.
you're not going manipulating it, you don't need to at all.
Okay. And there it is wrapped. Okay. And these are the slices. Look at how cool they are.
Aren't they pretty? And it look like you did a lot. And then the slices there, and then when manipulated into a leaf shape, and then one made into a square or a rectangle that you might use for some other purpose. Doesn't have to be a leaf.
Awesome. I love it. Well, yeah, and you can see that, they're already starting to move a little bit. Is there a way to keep them exact?
Yes, with lots and lots of practice, but it's
All right.
not kind of medium.
So, like a really sharp blade. What if
I
you wanted to,
can do anything with practice.
could you chill it? Would that help it to stay firm? And
Come again?
could you chill the fondant?
Yes,
Would that help?
absolutely. Yes,
Okay. Awesome.
yes.
Okay.
Oh,
And here we
when
have
you
them
sometimes
very manipulated.
when you chill fondant in the refrigerator, it gets a little damp. So I wrap it in a piece of paper towel before I put it in the refrigerator.
Okay. All right. Okay. So here you've rolled it out in a few different directions just to see what it can do.
I'm sorry, I missed your question.
Oh, and I'm just saying right here in this
Mm-hmm.
picture, you can see that, you're rolling it out in different directions so that you can see.
Right.
That's very cool. I love how you can take one slice and do so many different things with that.
That
Okay.
is the amazing part of the technique.
Yeah.
And I think if people just gave it a little bit of a chance, they'd never go back.
Yeah, it really is fun once you start playing with it. I mean, I could have spent a whole day just making different shapes and doing fun things with it. It's really fun.
Oh, yeah. This next picture is showing you that when I first started doing this, I didn't know you could sharpen the blades. I had tried a lot of different techniques to sharpen them with the stone. That didn't work. But these very inexpensive little ceramic knife sharpeners. I'll hold it up so you can see it. It's just this little thing. Is perfect. It's perfect. It holds the blade in and you just draw it across. So you're
Awesome.
just gonna draw it across like that.
All right. And so this little knife sharpener kit, where would you get that from? Where would you find this?
I got mine at a cooking store and it was in the dollar bin. So I think they're very cheap.
Oh, okay.
A
Good.
place where you'd buy pots and pans and osterizers and things.
So like a restaurant supply or more of just a, you know, um,
Yes,
okay. Cool. All right. So here we have them
I
again.
might have someplace like Bed and Bath Beyond or something.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, any place that sells that kind of little stuff.
Awesome. Okay. And here is in use. This is some of the stuff that you can do with the caning.
And that's those two canes. There's the leaf we made with the lines going in different directions, and
Mhm.
then there's the simple leaf that we made, the first cane we made.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so fun to I mean it to do this out of any other technique, you would, I mean, I don't know, try painting it. That would take forever, and it wouldn't look as good, you know.
No.
Or you know, piping, you could maybe pipe all those lines on there, but that would take so long. And you know, and this way it's seamless, and it's just so nice. I love that you can get a nicely, you know, variegated leaf, or you know, just some really fun pattern out of this. I think it's just I love it. So it's so versatile.
Well, if you did it in gum paste instead of fondant, you can go back with your ball tool and make the petals of your flowers just nice and thin and beautiful the way you'd want them to be. And your flower is colored on both sides. So
That's true. Yeah. It is, you know, double-sided, so that's really awesome right there. So I just honestly I love this technique. So the thing that I used my technique for, or I used caning for, was St. Basil's Cathedral. You know how it's the, you know, that one big one in Russia that has the you know, the cool tops of the buildings, you know, and so it's kind of a, you know,
the
have
onions,
yeah, the big poofy thingies, yeah, and so they have
the
stripes, and they
onions,
have,
yeah.
yeah, and lines and zigzags and all sorts of things, and so I thought, hey, you know, maybe I can do something, you know, that with the caning, and that really helped in getting those patterns onto the building. So it was really cool.
Which I still haven't seen a picture of.
I know. I need to send it to you. I keep forgetting. I told Toni that I'll only send it to her because I wasn't very happy with the rest of the cake. But okay, so let's see. There was an idea that you had for scraps, leftovers. I want to show you guys. This is kind of a fun idea, kind of a confetti thing.
You hate to throw the scraps away, they're pretty.
Exactly. Yep. So just chop them up, use them as confetti on your little cupcakes, and they're nice and colorful. So I think that's really fun. And then here's another beautiful picture. We put this up on Facebook, but I mean the amount of, you know, pattern that is in that is just, it's crazy. I mean I love it.
Well, you're going to find that the time spent in the making of the canes. Sometimes I'll start 2 days ahead making canes and just setting them aside. Once you've got the canes made, it goes as fast as you can cut them, squash them, and slap them on the cake. Just like that.
Awesome. Awesome. So, okay, we have a few questions I wanted to um, roll out here. Let's see. First one is, where are some good places to get patterns for making canes? Is there a place to get patterns for it? Ideas, I guess.
Yes, there are books on polymer clay that you can get that will give you ideas for patterns.
Cool. Very cool. All right. Let me show another picture here that we have. This one's really very fun. I love that you've got the, you know, the green and white and the pink added in there for flowers and things. So
I tried to keep my palette to two colors, green and pink.
hmm
I have a tendency to use the whole rainbow all the time.
well, you know, sometimes that can be cool.
Yeah, well, I was trying to be more like a cake decorator.
Be selective. Well, you know,
Like the bride asked for her cake to be green and pink. Okay. Guess I could
exactly.
do green and pink.
Yep. Well, are these little sweet peas here, in this picture? That's
Oh, the little pink flowers?
uh-huh.
I guess you could call them that. They're just kind of free form. I had some different canes and they look like flower petals, so I squashed them up and made flower petals out of them. But that's how easy it is. You know, a couple pink canes and you can see how I used them. And sometimes I'll just use a part of the cane, I'll cut it in half and just use one of the colors.
Awesome. I love it. I think this is so fun. Okay, our next question is, let's see, could this be done with gum paste or would you only recommend fondant?
Oh no, I've done it in chocolate clay and it's beautiful. I've done it in gum paste, both the platinum paste and the Wilton's regular gum paste. Beautiful, beautiful. Just fondant is what I happened to have when I first started, and it's easy to work. And I once of it at different cake shows, so I mostly use fondant because it's what I have.
Perfect.
But the chocolate clay is beautiful. If you try it with the chocolate clay, it's just gorgeous.
That's a really good idea. So basically anything that is, kind of a clay, Play-Doh-y kind of consistency, then you could most likely use it, right?
Well, originally it was a glass technique. That's what Moreno glass is. The Millefort glass is caned glass. So even
Hmm.
before I really kind of put caning as a technique in my head, I was doing the same thing with felt. When I was making felt out of sheep's fleece, I was making buttons, and I'd make a cane and then I'd cut the pieces off and then those would be the buttons. So anything that you can stack and stick together, you can cane.
So isomalt, you could do isomalt. That would be cool.
Yes.
Gonna have to
Yes,
play
you
with
could.
that. Gonna have to play with
Now
that.
when they use something like yeah, with something like isomalt and glass, you're going to be letting the cane cool and then breaking it off.
Oh, okay.
Then you could go back and remelt each of those little pieces. You see? You
Uh-huh.
couldn't cut it, it would just squish.
Okay. That's very cool. Okay, next question is, do these need to be dried out or can they be placed right on the cake or cookies or something like that?
They're best placed right on the cake or the cookies. I have them dried out for things like mouse ears or things that I wanted to stand up.
Okay, cool. Very cool. So, I mean, you can dry them out if you want to, but they do really well just going right on the cake.
Right. If
Okay.
you want to keep them moist while you're cutting them, I just use those little things I make out of vinyl, the little, you know, keeper, the, yeah, plastic thing. Put the
Uh-huh.
little pieces in between. This one here you can see is just 3 pieces of vinyl stapled together. I don't spend a lot.
Okay, awesome. Okay, and another question, again, I know you said this at the beginning, but there's a lot of people asking, where did you buy the razor blades again?
I get these at Joann's. Use your coupon. They're in the polymer clay section over by beading. If you don't know where the polymer clay section is, it's usually somewhere near beading. Or ask the clerk.
Okay, so just ask them where the polymer clay, tools
Right.
are bead making.
Right, and that's where you'll also find the rolling pins, the clear vinyl rolling pins, acrylic.
Okay. All right, our next question is, do you have to glue the canes together before you press them?
No, if your fondant is fresh and everything's kind of sticking together nicely, no. If you have two canes that have been sitting for a while and you want to put them together, then yes, you're going to have to glue. It's kind of at your discretion. One of the things I have to say, though, is that giving your canes some time to rest. Like if I make them at night, I'll use them in the morning. I'll wrap them up in the produce bag, nice and tight, and then double, triple Ziploc them and keep them overnight so they kind of meld together. All those layers stick really well together, and then they're ready to go.
Oh, okay. So letting them rest is actually a good thing.
Very good thing.
As long as they're wrapped. Okay.
As long as they're wrapped.
Okay, good.
And I haven't put them in the freezer. I will try that and see if they defrost and are usable. We'll see.
Okay. Good idea. All right, so yeah, I think that's really smart because you do notice that when, you put two pieces of fondant together, they stick okay, but even if you don't glue them together, if you let them sit there long enough, they're going to just kind of, form together. And that works with any fondant or gum paste. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. So your best option is to make your canes at least the day before you need to use them, wrap them up tight, and then use them the next day. That's
yes.
smart.
Yes, especially if you're coloring with the gel colors. Sometimes I'll use the powdered chocolate colors instead. But if you're using the gel colors, your fondant is going to be at different softnesses or hardnesses. And if you use them right away, that molecular water that's inside them isn't going to be able to move throughout the cane. And so when you cut it, the soft parts are going to squish out. And what you want it to do is equalize. So yeah, letting it rest for 6 or 8 hours does that.
Oh, cool. Boy, that's very scientific.
Oh, well, welcome to my little world.
It's a very interesting thing about art, is it's not just art, it's very scientific, Baking also, we're quite the mathematicians and scientists in the cake world, whether we want to be or not.
Well, when you're spending money on materials, whatever they are, you want them to work.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yep. All right. I don't see any more questions coming in. There is a bit of a lag, and I hope that we're not cutting anybody off of a question that they want to ask. Yeah, I wanted to show you guys one more picture before we go. If you guys do have any questions, hurry and get them in, because it's gonna be too late. Okay, so here's another picture of what you do with your leftovers.
Is that the bowl with the cupcake?
Yes.
Yes. Well, some of the other things that you can do with your leftovers is you can lay them all out on a piece of wax paper, and then you can take a roll of like white fondant, lay it on top, and roll it out really good. Let it sit overnight, and then use that to fondant a cake. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It looks like you did something amazing. Which you did, but, in kind of an easy way.
Of course you did. That's a really fun idea. That is a really fun idea. I mean,
yeah.
So don't throw away any of your mistakes or your scraps. You can always use them again for something.
Exactly.
I can see this actually. I've seen little pieces of things dropped into isomalt before. I bet that would probably work. Drop little bits of this stuff into isomalt, or as backing of isomalt, and make kind of the jewels that have the glass beads, and put that on the back of it, and
right,
this colorful bead. Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, I have done that with eyes. But I've used gum paste because it dries harder.
Yeah.
But I've made the little eye cut a little cane of the eye, and then I've dropped a blob of isomalt on top of it the way you would make a taxidermy eye. It looks great.
How
It's a,
cool.
yeah.
That is
But the
genius right
gum
there.
paste, because the fondant is really a marshmallow product, and so it's going to want to melt when the hot isomalt
Yeah.
hits it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
dried gum paste works better.
Yeah, that's very true. Yep. Awesome. Okay. I think I'm not seeing any more questions coming in. So like I said, there's the lag. I hope that doesn't stop you guys from getting your questions in. But if you do have questions, I'm sure you can ask them through our email, cakefu.com@gmail.com, and I'm sure that we can bug Toni a little bit and get answers.
Okay. I did want to share one more thing with you.
Okay.
My 3 favorite catalogs. One that you probably wouldn't hear of if you're a cake decorator is Japan Woodworking, which
Okay.
you wouldn't think what woodworking, but they have some great tools in this catalog.
Oh, okay.
Really nice tools. The other one you wouldn't think about would be Van Dyke's Taxidermy.
Oh, I know you wouldn't think
Now,
of that,
inside
would
of
you?
this, you wouldn't think of that, but inside, you'll see, I'm waiting for this delay, you'll see that there are very simple shapes of animals. So if you were making an animal and you needed to know its shape, you can get this catalog for free. The other thing that's in this catalog are some great tools for carving and for sculpting. So I just say go on to Van Dyke's and get your free catalog.
That is genius right there. If
That's
you're
what I have for
sculpting.
you.
Wow, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, if you're, yeah.
Awesome. Well,
I
thanks
think
for
it'll
the
help
tips.
everybody. And every animal you can imagine is in there, from squirrels to elephants.
That is so cool. I love that. You're a genius. See,
No,
that's why
I'm
I brought you
not.
on. All right.
I
Well,
just want to see, I want to see you sculpting. I want to see people sculpting. I want to see people caning. I want to see you doing it for yourselves because you'll just fall in love with your own work.
that's
And who
awesome.
loves it better than us ourselves?
Of course, of course. Well, I know a lot of people get into doing cakes for money, and they can only do what their customers want. So to be able to come up with ideas and things that maybe you can present to your customers, or something that you're doing just for you, something artistic. Every once in a while, you just have to do something artistic because that's why we got into it in the first place, right?
Well, what I say to the cake decorators is, you invited the artist to come. Now deal with us.
This is true. I love your attitude. No more plain cakes with a ribbon border around it. Come on, people, we're
Oh, come
custom.
on, get off of that bus. The train is leaving the station. There's caterers involved.
Exactly. I love it.
Oh, and not that I
Well,
don't have a lot of respect for all the other disciplines. I do.
yes. Well, it's true. And there are different levels to the cake decorating. Everybody's at a different level. So, I mean, you've got to have your cake decorators that are purely custom. You've got to have some that are catered more towards the I wouldn't say lower end, but just less custom. And then there's the grocery store for the
More
rest.
affordable. More
Yeah.
affordable.
Yep. Anyway, so
Yeah.
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 Well, thank you
Well,
so
Amelia,
much,
thank you
Toni.
so much. We're still on delay, so I'll
I
just keep
know.
talking. Thank you so much. It was delightful meeting you. I had so much fun that day, and I was so looking forward to seeing a picture of that cake, which I'm going to see, I bet, by the end of today. And just yeah,
Yep.
if anybody's interested in caning, I think that you should get interested if you're not.
Definitely. It's really fun. It really is. I would definitely suggest
Yeah,
trying it. It is really fun. I can't say it enough.
I don't do things that aren't fun. I have time in my life to do things that aren't fun.
That's true. Life's too short, right?
Way too short. I have too many things to do.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming on and listening and watching this training. I hope you guys learned something really fun, and I hope you guys go out and try it. And if you do, send me pictures. I'd love to see. You can post it to our CakeFu Facebook page, or just email it to me. And if you're okay with it, maybe I'll blog about it or put it up on Facebook or something like that. If you do something that you see in these trainings, we would love to see it. It's just fun to see that what we're doing here has an effect on everybody, and that we're actually helping. So anyway, thank you again, and thank you, Toni, again. And we will just see you guys. We won't have a training next week for Halloween, but hopefully we'll be back the following week. So we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.